Well, here we are. Welcome, everybody. All right, we're back. The artistic achievements. We're back with more artistic achievements on the way. Welcome, everybody. I'm International Master William Pascal. This is my stream. And Astrobit, you're my guest. Thanks for being a subscriber. So, currently, we have a new streaming fundraiser goal. If you donate, the summer tournament fund, and I am not going to the World Senior Team Championship. We're not hosting a team USA team 2, so that's canceled. Next tournament unclear. Thinking about National Open in Vegas in June, but that's just a draft idea. All right, so we've got Astrobait, Astrobait, Move 11. I just put a game in there because if we don't have enough material, a game I played in training, and then the Darnock Chess League. Our director is the director in the house. Vegas in June. Vegas in June is terrible, right? The only other person I asked about going was like, I'll never go to Vegas in June. Astrobate, it's hot, right? Better to go to Vegas at like Christmas time, but they have a tournament, North American Open. It starts like the day or after Christmas. That's also awkward. All right. No, it's just an idea. The World Series of Poker is going on concurrently to this National Open, and I thought I could play a couple poker tournaments while I'm there, sort of combine things a little. But anyway, that's just a thought. I had the news that I'm not playing the World Senior Team Championship just like this week, and nobody bothered to tell me. That's as far as I'm ready to go. That's farther, Nefyadov. LA is farther. Alright, so it's a little farther. Further. It's actually further. Further from the truth. So, nice to see you, Nefyadov. Astrobate. This is subscriber stream. Etan. Only for subscribers. We have no gifts. Come on. Our subscribers are dropping. And if I don't get some subscribers soon, I have to start playing poker for a living. It's not an empty threat. Astrobate, Move 11, Nefyadov. 3 of our biggest all-time devoted followers have games in for today. Etan, okay, I'll add yours. Our director, 10-0 Rapid Unrated. Okay, 10-0. We don't talk about where this was played. I don't know why it doesn't let me, okay. Yeah, whatever. That's a long PGM. Copy. Okay, learn, study. No brown beer. So what's up, everybody? Etan. Last but not least. Okay, we're starting with Astrobate, our warm-up game. Shura Shimba. How's our board? It looks good. Yesterday, someone was complaining about the board setup because the clock didn't show all 4 digits, but the time control was like under 10 minutes, so it didn't matter. You have brown beer here. Just talking about brown beer gives me a headache. Alright, so we got Astrobate to start up. Let's see what we got. Knight F3 with white. Actually, I wonder what would happen if you went back to playing Knight F3. I mean, if you went back to playing E4. When I think about changing openings, Psychic has followed. When I think about switching openings and learning new openings, I think, you're looking at things from a different perspective. You go back to your old perspective, you sometimes play better or have a totally different view of things. I just wondered how would you feel playing E4 again? after having played a lot of b3, knight f3 type stuff, would your e4 game have evolved? You know, what would happen there? If you went back to playing classical opening after all this hypermodern stuff. Okay, so this is... Yeah, anyway, we got a follow from /psychic a few seconds ago on Twitch. I am streaming on YouTube as well. Though I don't really do the comments or anything on YouTube. So we just cloned the stream over there basically to horizontal. Okay. I got likes. Alright. So, guys, if you're not subscribers, please subscribe. The point of this stream... This is your game? This is a different game. Dude, you had the exact same game happen. The point of the stream is analysis stream with subscribers. So you have to be a subscriber to submit a game. Alright, with that's been cleared. Knight f3, e6, c4. And strangely enough, Azerbaijan should be another game where his opponent played bishop c5. Like, what's the chances of that happening? This dude does it on the next move. What? Wait, I don't understand. Alright. I'm completely off base. No, he plays d5, d4. Why am I seeing bishop c5? That actually happened? Oh my gosh. Okay. So, totally different thing. d5. And now, Asterbate, you played a dubious move now. How many good moves does White have in this position? d4, e3, g3, maybe b3, and then we're getting down to really marginal moves like h3, a3, queen c2, probably the best. So you play knight c3. The problem with this move is, like in the Sicilian, can black push and cause problems for your knight on c3? Now, the thing is that black has played e6. So there may be some circumstances, some mitigating circumstances, you know, where like he's overextending himself a bit with d4. However, you're going to have to play knight a4 or something awkward, knight b5, knight e4. So I think this is still a good move for black. Although a lot of players aren't going to want to commit to that. They're not comfortable with the structure. Now, if you're not a d4 player, you should probably not play d5, d4. But opponent does. This guy does. Now, this is the most testing move. And pawns should be defended by pawns, not by pieces. So, with that Nick DeFermian quote, probably he got from Walter Korn, I don't know, c5 is best. Now, if you play e3 to destroy his structure, he can play a6 and kick you back. And you have to play knight a3. Koltanowski. Wonder who said that to DeFermian. Anyways, so d4, knight c3 is dubious. d4, correct. Knight b5, best try. I just had a sudden thought. Oh my gosh. Guys, check this out. So black has e5 here. Wow. Or c6 and e5. So what happens if you play c6? If you play knight takes d4, he has e5. No, there you can go back. What you don't want to do is take, because of the old queen a5 check. So look at this. If e5 right away, what do? Now if you take, you have the unavoidable c6 problem. Comments, questions, concerns? Looks like white's losing a piece here. So e5 might be the better way to do this. Dude, you can take it? Oh my god. Oh, there's no check. I'm an idiot. Okay. Thanks for pointing that out. There's no check. Alright, never mind. I know what I'm doing. So, alright then, in retrospect, c5 probably the best. And you try to attack the pawn chain, he's going to go a6, kick you out. If queen a4, it doesn't matter. Does it matter? Bishop d7. I don't think it's going to save you. Pawn takes pawn. Knight c6. This is bad for white. Okay. Welcome, Layush. So anyways, d4, knight b5. Amazingly, this position has arisen 4 times. There's some Bulgarian guy, Dimitrov, who has played this. He's tried every legal move. Okay, knight b5. Yeah, Astrobate, you have other options. I mean, you can play the 2 knights tango. You can play this, which was played twice by Dimitrov, with an impressive 1.5 out of 2 against strong players. You can always go home and just be down a tempo, cut your losses. Don't play knight c3. Now this move is bad. So he's like justifying your weird move. Now you have e3, which is very strong. And so if e5, no problem. So black gives up the center. D takes e3. And now Astrobate gets creative. He sacks a pawn. The engine hates this move. And I can understand it'll probably not like bishop b4 check. This was a risky move by white. You should just take back with the f-pawn. Risky, but it's not that bad. You know, it's an interesting pawn sacrifice / gambit. If bishop b4 check, knight c3. Pawn takes f2, king f2. You have a little bit of developmental compensation. You know, this isn't so bad for like a blitz game or something. Alright. What's up, guys? Alright, so d4, he takes, king takes. Now the bishop can't check on b4. He goes back. And so how much compensation do we have here? It looks like you're playing a sort of weird Black Mardemer. You're down a pawn, but you have free development. I think a lot of players are going to toss their bishop out to h4 just to randomly check you, which he does, of course. But what should you do? Develop your pieces. You should develop and artificially castle here. This is a terrible idea. You know, you're not developing. You do this a lot with the knights moving twice. Too many times I'm seeing this, Astrobate. Knight e5, knight g5, knight e4, knight g4, knight b4, knight b5. I said all these squares. He's just constantly putting his knights on these squares, like 2 times in a row. 2 knight moves in the first. You're not allowed to move your knights more than once in the first 10 moves. Now a terrible move by black, bishop h4 check. That does nothing. And then he doubles down with another blunder, leaving c7 unprotected. Chumbawamba is dead. The day that Chumbawamba died. But which square do we go to with the king? For me, it's not terribly obvious. But, you know, the G2 could be opposed to the bishop. This is probably fine. I would watch bishop b7. Potentially. Doesn't seem like he has time for that. And then bishop g5. Okay. Now knight c7 just wins. King e7. T on g5 is okay. And then you take the rook. You don't take the rook. Always take the rook. You know, you could nearly trap his queen here. Why doesn't black play f6? You know, objectively you're still winning, but I don't like giving him giving him time. Giving him time to kick you out. If you retreat your knight, d4 is a little bit weak. For example, knight c6, knight takes a8, knight takes d4. You also have to watch this check on d2. Probably you're still winning, but I mean, why give him this time? Wow, there's a move I didn't see either. You have a crazy queen move. I have to admit I completely missed it. I don't know if you missed it. Maybe you didn't. There's a check over there, which could result in checkmate or winning the queen. It just appeared, though. I had not seen that. So, actually, on f6, you have queen a3 check. Maybe that was your idea all along. Okay, I admit I didn't see it. So you were winning there. Clearly winning immediately. So f6 doesn't help him. Okay, you probably saw it. Then again, if you saw it, then why wouldn't you play? You probably maybe saw it and forgot about it. Rook d1, knight a6. Yeah, you never saw it. Don't worry, I didn't see it either. Knight a8, bishop d7, queen takes b7 here, knight c6 check, and then, yeah, this is good. This is good. This is fine. Checkmate on the board. Okay, can't say it's a good game, but not bad. Not the worst game I've ever seen. But first of all, this is something that you very, very often are doing. Bringing knight out to c3 automatically. You know, don't take this for granted that black can't play d4. They should play d4. In fact, as you well know, knight f3, d5, c4, d4 is black's best move. So just imagine, if this is a good move for black, even when your knight's not on c3, then it's almost certainly going to be a good move if your knight is on c3. Alright, next game. There's like no oxygen. We have freaking rain here. It's horrible. I like the snow better because it's like less noisy. Now the rain is like beating on the window. Alright. I'm gonna hold off on Mamedyarov because that's kind of a serious game. That's gonna be heavy to analyze. That's move 11 submission. And then, oh, by the way, move 11 is playing in the U.S. Amateur Team Championship. East. There's 4, like, East, West, South, and, yeah, what's the other one? North? Midwest or something, I think. But, the tournament starts on Saturday. So it's President's Day weekend? Is it President's Day weekend? Is that right? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 3-day weekend? Is that President's Day? Or is it am I crazy? I don't even keep track of American holidays anymore. Does anyone know? Alright, anyway, onward and upward. So Darnock and District Chess League. Nefedov with black. Thank you for glossing over my poor week and crappy play. Darnock and what was it again? I tried to get Mr. Coffee to remember this. I forgot the Star Trek Next Generation thing again. The classic Star Trek episode where Captain Picard has to battle with this other alien leader. All right. Andrew Smith. Richard Smith. Not Richard Smith. So Tamworth versus Stafford. The Stafford Gambit. So Nefedov playing a 2200. Nefedov is very underrated. Should be able to draw this 2200 easily. D4, D5, C4, C6, Knight F3. There is one problem for Nefedov. You know, he can prepare for his opponents, but his opponents can prepare for him. So I have the opposite opening approach to Nefedov, where I play all different stuff, and yeah, your problem is that you're predictable. You know what you play very well, but you are predictable. So not only you know what you play, your opponents know what you play. And you say, well, I play different stuff. That's true to a degree, but still, you're relatively predictable. They're going to prepare something. So you have to keep mixing and matching. Make sure you're switching whatever variation, you know. You got to switch it up. Because your openings are pretty predictable. And even in amateur tournaments, you're going to run into a lot of preparation. So let's see. Knight c3. Okay, the Slav is very solid. D takes c4, a4. This is like a main line. And now he plays 95. So in the 90s, in the mid-90s, this became the huge theoretical variation. And I remember studying it. I never had the courage to play it with white because it was so theoretical that I was like scared of it. Like, you know, before very strong engines. I always just was like, nah, I'll pass. You know, this is a little too sharp for me. But now knight on bd7 is the main line. Well, Gelfand would be my go-to here. Doesn't Gelfand play the Slav? Am I crazy? Okay. E6? I guess not. So E6, okay, E6 is sharp too. Yeah, I guess E6 is actually sharper. To be honest, I feel like this is the line where black used to sacrifice a piece. So 97 is like, yeah, 97 is like the safer variation. See, like the losing percentage for white. And there's this Cyrus Lakdawala variation, knight a6. You know, it's interesting. Knight a6 has the best score, statistically, of these variations. Also has the highest percentage chance that your opponent probably doesn't know it as well. My friend David Vigorito wrote a book on the Slav. I don't know, you know, he would know better than me, since I've never played this line for both sides. I can honestly tell you that I probably played like less than I can count on one hand games with 95. Okay, E6 is the older. 97 is the more modern, safer line. Knight A6 is the Lakdawala. But I would recommend Knight A6 from a perspective of like avoiding theory. Like your opponents are going to be more likely to not know that as well. Anyway, E6, sharpest line. And now F3. This is like famous variation. And can we get some Peter Spidler or something? No Spidler? There's a Gelfand from 2006. But he's certainly not the number one. Anand, a lot of Slavs. Kramnik, a lot of Slavs. Shirov, a lot of Slavs. You're going into... if you play Bishop E4, you're going to a very sharp variation. That's the P-Sac line. I don't even know where that is, theoretically. Okay, so Nefedov here doesn't play that. The other move that I've seen is C5. So, C5, I feel like I've seen people play that. But this is new to me. So Nefedov came up with some kind of secret sauce for his opponent, and the only 3 games are all correspondence games where all 3 games were draws. Well, this is a good try, it looks like. We're taking guy out of book very early on move 7. Now, what if white takes the pawn? Just like takes the pawn. Then you hit him with C5. I would want to attack his center. Zero games. This could be a future Slaggy Nefedov battle. The end game is slightly better for white. Uber Driver. I'd like to see Uber Driver versus Nefedov. C5, D takes C5, Queen takes D1, check. King takes D1, or Knight takes D1. Now, this is over the board games? No, these are correspondence games. How many games are on Lichess? Ta-da! Oh, shit. Dude, that's a lot. That's a lot. So this line has been played in like 1,000 games, almost 1,000 games on Lichess. Various time limits. And e4 is the main move, but knight takes c4 is also played. And your suggestion of g4 is a third option, something like g4, h4. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Although, I think it's not a big deal. Like, I have d5 from my knight, It feels like g4, h4, h5 takes just a move too long for it to be like a serious problem. We're going to hit your center before you have time to do anything to us on the king side. So it really honestly seems like either e4 or take. So your opponent plays e4. That's the number 1 move played online. And now what's our deal? Well, this is coming. We have counterplay against d4. Or you can do bishop e4 and try to get some kind of delayed piece sacrifice on his e4. I mean, the most direct way to play this position would be c5. Black has 50% in this position. What's going on? I mean, do you think white just tries to maintain the center? Bishop e3 is the most common move. That's the only move where white seems to have a plus score. Also d5. d5 looks shaky. I'm not afraid of d5. So I think this is a very viable move for you. c5 is the engine's number 1 move. I mean, clearly the goal in the opening is to control the center. Your opponent has an ideal center. Now, if Nefedov plays knight on bd7, it's also okay. But one of the questions is, like, if you play knight on bd7, what if he takes with a knight on c4? Now you're not exchanging any pieces off, and white still remains with a strong center. You could play, like, c5, a delayed version of c5. You can't force an exchange of knights. So, yeah, this looks risky. This looks direct and good. And your move looks fine, but also not as direct as c5. And so now he does. He plays knight takes e4. And that is the main move, but it's also not white's only move. He could also let you take on e5. That's sometimes possible. So I don't know what to expect here. You can see in the opening explorer, there's like 4 different moves, 5 different moves that have been played. Even h4. But you want to attack the center. His weak point is the dark squares, especially d4. That's why I like c5 better. After this, so now how do we put pressure on the center? You know, we can't play e5. We can play c5. But we have to be careful, because if we play c5, he has stuff like knight to b5. Now you played bishop e4. The other option is bishop e7, but it's passive. If you play bishop e4, here's the question, right? Are you threatening me? Like, are you threatening some kind of combos with, like, takes and queen h4 check? The only thing I'm wondering about, say white plays something stupid like this. Can black, like, sack a piece here? No. Just the hypothetical. It's not a big deal. This is kind of passive. You know, the other move that needs to be considered is, well, pretty obviously like this, you know. Offering to trade pieces. I mean, obviously, like, you'd be okay with a draw. So what else can he do? Go here? Like, unlikely. So probably white needs to come up with something. I mean, going here, like it's a Benoni or something. What's he going to do to avoid you trading pieces? Knight e3. This might well be white's best move. Let's check it out. The engine actually, you know, it's looking at 95, of course. That's like repeating position. Bishop e3 just developing is the #1 move. But I don't like, you know, the opponent having this big center and us not having very much counterplay against it. He's 2200. At least this move is kind of proactive. I think your opponent would probably play knight e3 if he's... But who knows? You know, he might allow you to trade pieces. In that case, I think you're a little bit... You've achieved some... Trading pieces achieves something for black. You're less cramped. But your biggest problem, of course, is your Slav bishop on g6, which is stuffed by that pawn. So Nefertop plays bishop e4. I'm just not sure... Other than just developing... we're getting any real counterplay against his center. That pin is only temporary. So now white plays a strange move. I'm really surprised by this. You can see the opening explorer. White's played bishop e3, bishop e2, queen b3. I would expect bishop e2, bishop e3, those two. You're not threatening anything other than the piece sacrifice that probably doesn't work. So, you know, here and castle's kingside is pretty consistent. But he goes there, and this is a strange move for me. You know, like, okay, there's a very primitive threat of e5. But I mean, just hypothetically, what happens on h6, bishop h4, bishop h7? Nefertov loves playing h6 and g5, by the way. The Butcher of Truth. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really a fan of this for black. I'm just kidding, but we can move our queen. So nephew played queen c7. You know, it makes me kind of regret that we didn't go to e7 in the first place. Like, that would have been safer. But honestly, I think knight b6 is my preference. Okay, if you go knight b6, he goes knight e3. Now he's starting a5. So what do? You do a5 yourself. This seems to be the best, dude. Now you have bishop b4. I think that's your best line. Try to trade pieces. This is awkward. Now what do we do? Queen b8. Queen b8 was played by a couple of 2300s. It might be better than c7 in some cases, where you don't get exposed to attacks by knight b5. Certainly not unheard of in the Slav. I had a game many years ago against Alex Kallichstein, where he played queen b8 against me in an exchange Slav or a Slav structure. We don't have a lot of choices. c7, okay. I agree with you not doing... Although h6 could be thrown in there. You know, Nefedov, actually, seriously, maybe it would be constructive to do that. Is this going to create problems for you? Like, say he goes here now. If you try to play knight b6, knight e5, and then you have to go to h7. Still, it's not so bad. a5, knight d7. Black is 2-0. a6. Yeah. Well, they didn't find a6, but that's a freaking strong move. So anyway, it's possible to throw h6 in. It's an interesting move that would give your bishop a retreat square, but it also will weaken your position slightly. But there's a reason why it's the number one move here. Okay, queen c7, and now bishop e2. Did your opponent have access to the Lichess Opening Explorer during this game? Just a question. Was he leaving the border lap for the bathroom? Castles. And now castles. And now what? Bishop on g5, annoying. You know, it's annoying. So h6, e5, e5. e5. Early and often. It might embarrass his bishop on f6. The dark squares are your key. You know, and his bishop on g5 is his good bishop. He doesn't really want to trade that off. Even, I mean, this kind of thing would be a travesty. That's a very bad exchange unless he can trap your bishop on g6 or something. You know this is good for you. Because of the weakness in his position on the dark squares all over the place. Oh no, I forgot to activate the stream. Oh no. Sorry guys. Force online check. Now we have 6 viewers. We're going to double up. Double me up to 12 viewers, please. And please donate, subscribe. E5 is very bad. I don't know if it's bad. I'm not sure, Nefedov, if E5 is very bad. I think you should be attacking his center, bro. You know. I really think you should be attacking his center. If you don't attack his center, then, you know, he's just going to be better. You have 2 ways to attack his center, c5 and e5. But now with your queen on c7, you're going to have to deal with knight b5 and stuff. I'm not sure if e5 is bad or not. It might be, but we've got to find some reason. It's not because the bishop takes f6. You know, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept this as enough reason. And because some loser lost some games on Lichess. I think e5 needs to be seriously considered. Okay, you don't have to play it right away. c5 also is an important move, but you've got the c-file, you've got things coming into b5, your bishop getting like trapped. That's a common theme that I'm sure you're familiar with. This might be a serious issue. Anytime you try to play c5 with the bishop out there, I know from experience with white I can play knight a2. Maybe it's not a big deal though. You also know, like you can protect it. It's not a tragedy, not a total tragedy anyway. Like you have to attack his dark squares somehow. I don't think his bishop on g5 is really participating in the control of the, you know, it's not participating in controlling these central dark squares, which are important. It is discouraging you from like rook d8 though. So you played rook fe8. Okay, this move. Wow, look how many games there are. This move looks very routine. Now rook c1. No, he played queen b3. Wow. Notice how many things are defending d1. Well, he gives himself rook d1. Queen b3 buys time and gives him rook to d1. But, I mean, I want you to attack his d4 pawn. Please, destroy his center. Like yesterday. So this is the number one move. And it's also a very, very logical looking move. And that would give even more strength to these like anti-queen on c7 ideas. Also discourage you from playing c5. And that's why I was talking earlier about queen b8 rather than, you know. So, okay, I'm afraid that we're drifting with no plan here against a good player. You played a5. This is probably forced. And now, okay. For example, like knight e2. Now you have squares. There's no problem. So I expect rook d1. Opponent played rook d1. But he played rook fd1. Controlling d4. Defending d4. And now other guy played e5. But it's like if you don't play for e5, what are you playing for? You know? You did knight b6. Well, if he plays knight e5, you go back. Okay, fine. He cannot exchange knights. He should not exchange knights. He could go to e3, alternatively. And I don't see anything wrong with knight e3. He went here. Now you did the other knight to d7. You're the Slav player, not me. I just, you know, okay, I just like that this knight is at least, like, influencing the center. You know knights on b6 are generally not too good. I would prefer to go with this knight. He went knight fd7, and now he goes knight d3. He can play other moves, obviously, like bishop f4, but you can stack up. So this is some progress. At this point with white, I think he has to seriously consider taking your bishop. And trying to play kind of long term. Although, you know, I could see us having this kind of game. It's very hard for him to really do anything. So he avoids exchanges of pieces. Your bishop's too important to give up. You have to go back to d6 or f8. Man. So what's his idea? I mean, he's attacking your bishop. Why you just don't bring it back? Because of bishop f4? I mean, even this, you know, okay, probably like f4. That's not clear. Because you have h6 now. And you can snap his pawn off. I am not convinced here. He should have played rook c1 already at some point. On bishop d6, what does he do? e5? Maybe. But then his pawns are committed. I don't like f6, man. It's probably not that bad, though. No, you're sharpening the position a lot with f6. Now you played bishop d6. But you figured you like prevented him from playing e5? This is very aggressive play by Nefedov. Does he have tactics on your knight on b6? I expected you to like go bishop f7 now. Well, you can't go there right away. Yeah. But f6 is not forced. The computer's on the fence. It likes my move a tiny bit better than yours. They're almost identical. They might even transpose. Anyway, that's what I would have done. F6 a little riskier. Obviously on bishop f4, you know, you're kind of hoping for that. That doesn't look like it does anything. So he goes back, and then you played bishop d6. And so I'm looking at e5. Takes. No. Takes. Does not concern you. Like, you can't take here. Because you lose a piece. So, what are you telling me? Like, on e5, you have to go back to f8? I think I don't know. Not sure how much I love this. But he doesn't play it. He plays e5. Oh my god. The fuck just happened? Now, I don't like that. So that's a huge advantage here. If you play bishop d6 first, he can't play f4 because of h6. Or so it seems. But the way you played it, you failed to put pressure on a center, and now it's like coming down on you. In fact, you could play bishop f8, obviously. And I don't like the center looks very strong for white, you know. I would be scared. But f4, now this looks super scary. So what are you going to do? Like Chigorin? You're going to go Chigorin style here with like f5? We better do something quick. Because that center's starting to look very ominous to me. Plus he has rook c1 and knight b5 type stuff. So I don't know, man. It doesn't look like you're too safe in this position. Bishop f7, e5. Damn. Is this the Caro-Kann or the Slav? I'm telling you, start playing the Caro-Kann. e5. It's a lot of space. Bishop f8 or bishop e7. Taking is definitely bad. I would think that opening this up doesn't help us, but, you know, who knows? As I said to Acerbate earlier today, releasing the tension is usually a mistake. In most cases in the opening. Still opening, kind of. This is like Nefedov playing the black side of the four pawns attack. Bishop e7, rook c1. And now he's threatening this. Possibly. I mean, the sensible thing to do seems to be retreat your queen. But you are super passive. For that matter, you could play queen d8. I mean, I don't know. And the other thing is, like, would it be better to go to f8? I don't know. Like most things, I don't know. But this is getting very creepy. Now knight d5. Well, how much did you calculate? Did you calculate f5? Knight d5, pawn takes, f5. This you would have calculated. That looks pretty straightforward. You just take on e5 and you win a clear. Well, let's see. Takes. Yeah, it's good. Pretty easy to calculate that. So he takes and then he plays this move. This is a scary position, for me. If you asked me to guess the opening, I'd say it was some kind of weird double king pawn. It looks like it was some kind of strange Joko where white got to play e5. White has a huge space advantage now. Yeah, you never let me get away with this. If you could just play as well as you do against me in the simul's. Now knight f8. Oh my god. So he has f5 and he plays it. Looks very scary. White's threatening e6. Can we just play bishop f8, man? Man! So what if we do this? Don't see anything immediate that he can do to you. This looks kind of okay. So long as white can't play f5, I think you're okay. As long as he can't play f5, maybe he has e6 and queen takes d5. It doesn't work. Takes. Does it work? We just take. We can't take. We have to take. This is kind of complicated. But I think you're basically okay. It looks like you're holding on, But knight f8 is another step toward the precipice. Knight f8 leaves you with no squares for your bishop, and you're further backing up, and you have less pressure on his center on e5. So if we play this, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and he can't play f5 because he loses the e5. If he can't play f5, then he can't win. He can't beat you. So I'm thinking, how does white make progress here? Bishop f2. He tries some kind of maneuver. I don't think this is easy for you. I agree. But I don't like this move. It feels like you're going the wrong way. And then his move looks very scary. It looks like a strong move. The computer hates it, double question mark. What could go wrong with f5? What could Nefedov possibly have that's so good here for black? The move looks so natural for white. Queen b6 offering a trade of queens. Looks like you're losing a piece there. He's starting e6, winning your bishop. You have h5 that doesn't do anything. I don't see it. You did h5. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I am also perplexed here. What could you possibly have to bail out here? It's like there's some kind of move for black. g6, e6, you must have looked at that. g6, e6. It's some kind of tactic. But I have no clue what it is. Bishop d8. Everything looks bad. Damn. Everything looks bad. I would lose on time. F takes e5. Okay. Staring us in the face, this obvious move. And now knight takes aside. This is the scary move. So he remains with the threat of e6, bfd. What's the big deal? He's still threatening e6. It still looks terrible for black. Are you going to tell me like the computer is like king h8 or something and everything's okay? Because I'm not really comfortable with this, you know. I don't really feel safe here. He has this. Queen takes d5. Not sure about that one. So the engine's like f takes e5, d takes e5, d4. Oh my god, no way. He has e6, and you might have even seen this. And you just take. Fuck. I didn't see it either. I mean, it's evening and I'm tired and I don't know, but I should have seen it, you know. I missed it completely too. He missed it, you missed it, I missed it. We all missed it. It's pretty obvious. But you know what? I don't think you would have missed it if you had played FTC. I don't think you would have missed it if you got to this position, you know. I think you would have seen, I would have seen it. Eventually you would have seen it. You know, I think the problem is that you didn't play pawn takes pawn. You have to see it in advance. Otherwise, you probably don't play this move. You would have seen, oh, fuck, I have d4, you know. Yeah, you would have seen it. Oh, my God. But you have no other move. You're strategically lost if you don't have this move. I'm pretty sure. Like, your best move after that, other than that, like I said, is like king h8. My God, you know, it looks terrible. You're in a coffin. You know, this is over. So you panicked and played h5. Fuck. Yeah, because there's like no way that's happening. Under any normal circumstances, that's like a dream situation where you take his queen on b3 with your bishop on f7. Yeah, it was a really lucky tactic. This is a frying pan into the fire kind of move. It just doesn't seem to work. You know, I looked at this first thing. I mean, I want to make like g6 work, but I mean, this is check. You know, everything is check. h5 is a threat, but he just moves away. I don't even know where. I mean, I kind of feel like h3 because I want to keep my focus on e6 with white. You would still have this stuff anyway. I mean, the probability is that you still have this. You end up doing what I said, which is suicide, but the only logical move, if you don't see the trick. You know, he can also bail out with, like, knight takes, and it's unclear. h5 wrecked your position. h5 is the fire. You're in the frying pan already. h5 only weakened your king side because it was total desperation. You didn't want to play h5, but you didn't know what else to do. You do h5, now you wrecked your king side. He plays bishop f3. Okay, I didn't know which of these bishop moves is better. But the point is he's threatening e6, so what are you going to do? You can sacrifice a piece. Or you can play what you played. You know, king h8. So still you have to try f takes e. And you have to find d4. And it's like similar to the last variation, but worse. Because at the end of the day, you're going to do this, and then you're going to take this, and you're going to hang your h-pawn, and this is probably fatal because of bishop f7. So the h5 was like killing you, ultimately. So you play king h8, and now e6, and bishop g8. You had another idea, okay. Stopgap. It's a nice move. Human opponent plays h3. Apparently he had bishop takes d5. It's a sharp move that not everyone may be comfortable with. And now you sack the piece, knight takes e6, which is pretty logical. you don't have to do it right away. There is kind of a weird idea here. You know, earlier when I saw this type of position, I was thinking of stuff like G5. But what if you played, I know this is crazy, but what if you played G6? You know, now he might even have G4 with the ultimate pawn chain. But I just keep thinking of ways you could potentially break up his structure. So I don't know. Bishop D6 is reasonable move. After H3, yeah, G6 was best. I mean, dude, it's hard to play that, I know. G6 was best, although I'm sure that you're close to deep shit anyway. I mean, look at your king side after G6. G6 is best. How's my G4? Not so good, apparently. HG4, HG4, GF5, GF5, and then you sack a piece. So it's a lot different now. Look at this. Now you sack a piece. And you have enough compensation because your other guy's coming over here. Unbelievable. That could very well happen, by the way. You know. So you sack a piece right away. Now you just got 2 pawns for the piece. The computer prefers bishop takes, but you obviously didn't want to hang your h5 pawn. Yeah. So you have 2 pawns for the piece. Never resign, never give up. I certainly am not resigning. Now this is a tough one. Generally speaking, you don't want to exchange pieces, but you do have like 2 pawns. I think rook g8 is fine. There's no invasion, no entry point. I mean, he has knight c5 maybe, and knight e6. But you got some threats, we might say. He prevented it. That's awkward. Shit. That is very awkward. White played pretty well. You got to give him credit. He played well, except for the mistake with f5. But I mean, f5 was hard to see. He did play well. And stopping g4 as the end. So ultimately, you should have exchanged rooks, because he had this ability to double up on your h pawn. So if you exchange rooks, I don't know which way he takes. Can you just kind of hang around? You know, he can put pressure on a5 like this. You can hang around. I don't know how easy it is for him to beat you. Generally speaking, we don't trade pieces when we're down. When we're down material, right? But there is one thing. Once I drew this game in a team tournament where I was down a piece, because I traded off all the pawns. There might be an argument now, Fedot, for trading rooks, because if you trade off all the pieces, you know, he might get down to a situation where he has no pawns left, or not enough pawns or something. I don't think this is so easy for him to win. I think a lot of people would fuck this up. 2 pawns is not so bad. Losing that's the final straw. So I think you could have still put up some resistance with this rook exchange. I would have played rook g8 too, but if we can see this pretty easily, queen d1. And there's nothing you can do. Alright, good game, sort of. Sorry. Yeah, I think that you know, your idea in the opening was okay, but you know, you need to be more immediate countering his center. I think, I really think like here you hit him right away. I mean, this is, maybe you don't like it. Okay, even if you don't like c5, still, the other variation with knight b6 doesn't look so bad. You know? But I think, you know, ultimately, you might want to go with this, this knight a6 or something. That's actually going to be quite similar to the game. here. Where is it? Sorry, not there. Here, knight a6. Move 6. Knight a6. I feel like that's a decent move that would probably take him out of his main line. All right, that was a good game. Now I've got Itan against Maxime. Where's everybody? Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Thanks to Nefidov, Astrobate, Layush, Itan, Move 11 for being subscribers. We need your support. My pension doesn't kick in for a few years. My Social Security doesn't kick in for a few more years. So I've got to keep working as a chess coach. So if you guys would so kindly please subscribe and donate some gift subs, etc. Support the stream. Support the Summer Chess Olympiad. Summer Chess Tourney Fund. Are we going to cross the $100 barrier? You would love to play more games versus Lexus 2200, and I think it would be good for you. I know that you can play really well. And those guys are not nearly as good as me. And I know that you can play well against me, so you can certainly play well against them. But that position was a difficult one. He's got the center, and I felt like in that Slav we need to hit him in the middle. That e5 moves, seriously, one last thing, you were reluctant to do that. That other line we looked at with e5, which you said I don't think so. Let's check this out. It has a pretty good score. I mean, 17 games, black scored 41%. It fits the bill, which is counter his central advantage. Now, if it all goes to shit, where he's like trapping your bishop or something, then obviously you're lost. This has to be based on calculation. But it's like check, okay, obviously e4 falls. But e5 can, you have to calculate, but it can be good. What happens if you play e5? D takes e5, knight takes e5. Bishop f4, okay, that's a serious move. And now you would have had to play knight fd7. There's games here. Queen b3. I wonder how many people were cheating. Playing white. Bishop e7. There's bishop c5 check. King h1. Yeah, this is a pretty bad pin. That's true. So bishop takes f6 isn't the problem. The problem is takes on e5. You were right not to play e5. This is not a good move. But only because of that line. There was one other question I had. Well, as I said, I think that you got to be more immediate, challenging a center somehow. All right. Itan versus Masame. This is a 10-0 game. Where is everybody? What do I have to do? Play Red Dead Redemption? Where's everybody? Where's Tomas Treinson? Where's Mr. Slow? Mr. Slow has personal problem. He had some life problems, he said. So he's been around in a while. Someone on sound doesn't come here. Move 11 submitted a game. We'll go over that next. But some other players, Sun Prism's not here today. So we've had a very low turnout of late, and I want to know what can I do, to make you guys feel more connected to the stream. I know Nefidov, Astrobate, you guys are happy. But it feels like people are missing. D4, we're Itan with white. Okay, cool. It's a game. It's a 10-minute game from the Evil Chess site. Both players are rated about the same. And we've got an interesting line. The so-called Russian variations. Back in the 80s, I studied Botvinnik. Botvinnik's original book. Botvinnik. I loved studying. The pages were falling out of it because it had a bad binding. RHM Press. It's like the worst binding ever for a chess publishing company. But I loved like studying, Botvinnik's original book on the Grunfeld. Queen b3, and this was so popular in the old days before, Fischer, before the modern era, and then later it became popular again in the 80s and 90s. Now it's still seen, still critical, very popular in the 80s. D takes c4, queen takes c4. By the way, there's another move that black can play here. No, wait. You can't play bishop e6, can you? This is too extreme. Okay. And c5. Oh, shit. Whoa, network error. Oh my god. We have a network error. Holy sound, Batman. Well, Dubov is probably on this. Oh man. My computer went out? Ooh. I think you guys can probably still hear me. I lost my laptop internet. I don't know why. It's on the Wi-Fi. I lost my Wi-Fi. But my other computer's on LAN. So the stream should be okay. I'm just restarting my other machine. But this is interesting. So c5. It's only been played in a handful of games, but check it out. Grishuk, 2010, Juno Willow, 2025, 2025. So people are starting to fire up their computers to the tune of c5. This is a very interesting move for black. cd5, oh shit. cd5, cd4. Computers are teaching us how to play. Knight takes d4, knight takes d5. And now the best move apparently is knight takes d5. This is all new. Rager won with black against the 2400. You gotta be kidding me. Bishop takes d4. g3. And the guy didn't know the best move. So white now played e3. Bishop g7. Bishop d2. Castles. Bishop c3. Still impossible to lose with white. This is like an impossible position to lose with white. Unbelievable. The guy managed to do it. Wow. Knight d5. Why would you even play that move? Why would you even play that move, dude? Barbeau. Anyways, so c5 is interesting. That needs to be looked at. There could be something cutting edge there. The engine now, Stockfish 18. If Grishuk's playing it, it must be good. The problem with c5 is that it might lead to a lot of simplification and ultimately not the greatest winning chances for black. The computer still thinks that d takes c4 is the best move. Even e6 is playable. But still, okay, this is principled move. We're attacking the center. I don't know why my internet died. Stupid computer. I have to fix my connection. Hold on a second. Get back on Twitch. I'm not on Twitch, but I don't see myself. Self, where are you? So, alright. We got, coming back. Principled move, right? Okay, so bishop e6 is a move. That's another move. Notice bishop e6 has a winning score for black. Mostly newer games. But castles has got to be, it's got to be best. Wow, knight c6. Stockfish 18. Castles is best. Castles is the most principled. We're not in any rush. So e4, and now what does black do? Your guy played e6. That's the worst move I've ever seen. Well, I mean, there is one move worse than e6, e5. b5 is kind of marginal. c5 is better, for sure. c5's probably been played. Here's a real shocker. e5's been played twice. Someone played it and drew against Volkov. Wow. That's for reals. So what's the idea? Pawn takes pawn, I can get it, but like knight takes b5. Wow. Knight takes b5, double pawn sack, and knight takes c4. So people are going crazy with their computers again. This is plausible too. Oh my god, every move is legal. So every move is playable. How about b5 right away? That's never been played. Your opponent played like literally the worst move on the board. I mean, h6 is probably marginal. e6, what does that do? You know, what does that do? It doesn't do anything. It's horrible. In the old days, there were people who played like c6, you know, which is bad, but it supports b5 at least. Sabo Laszlo variation. Better to play a6, so you can play like bishop b7 later, and possibly c5. This is the worst move I've ever seen in this position. It does nothing. What does it do? It like gives you a square for your queen on e7? Maybe he meant to play e5 and he mouse slipped. So this guy against... the Volkov took with the pawn. This is probably okay for white too. I mean, let's just check it out how Volkov doesn't win, right? Former 26, you know, high 2600 and Russian championship player. Very good player. Okay. Knight g4, bishop f4, bishop e6. He's playing some child, probably. Queen b5. So Volkov played perfectly. Black played perfectly. And still white played perfectly. Black played perfectly. He's basically playing a computer. Bishop e2. The computer, like, equalized. The computer equalized against Volkov. Knight e5. And now he even made a mistake. Bishop takes e5. Black is better. Dude was playing a computer. I guarantee Ortik Nigmatov is like a computer from Uzbekistan or something. He's like an 8-year-old from Uzbekistan who plays 0.000000 cent upon lost games. Wow. So Volkov couldn't do anything. Nice prep there, bud. So anyway, e6 is bad. Bishop e2. Question mark. Why? Why would this be a question mark? Well, it's just not as good as the other moves. You're not being incisive. When you see the opponent play a very, very bad move like e6, we want to punish that move. I had a crazy example. e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6. What was it now? d4, pawn takes c4, knight takes d4, e6. What am I thinking about again? Knight c3? Yeah. So there was this game I looked at. Just an example of incisive play. It was a very strong player with white. Chigorin playing white. This was 1875, okay? Nefedov remembers. St. Petersburg, 1875. Nefedov's like 300 years old. He's like a brown beer drinking vampire. Russian Empire, the old Russian Empire, as opposed to the new Russian Empire. Russian Empire, St. Petersburg, 1875. Guess what Black played? Semyon Alapin, D5. Right? This can't be good. This can't be good. This is absolutely insane. You're black, you're playing a Sicilian. You're playing D5, opening the game. And so I wanted to give as an example of not playing incisively. Karol Mokry, Czech Grandmaster in 1986, played the following: Bishop E2. Dude, that's ridiculous. How can you play Bishop E2? Your opponent just played D5. Seriously. White has two very strong moves. Takes, simple, and then Bishop E5. Or, as Chigorin played, Bishop E5 directly. They're both good. Either way is good. What kind of move is Bishop E2? Now, in our example, you also played Bishop E2. And you also played Bishop E2 in a position where you have much, much more aggressive moves that are possible. And the obvious one is Bishop G5. And now this is clearly threatening E5, winning a piece. It doesn't mean you have to castle queenside, which you don't. You could, but you don't. You have Bishop F4, which is kind of superficial. You're threatening a flesh wound with Bishop takes C7. You have Bishop E3, which we might say like, oh, Knight G4, I don't know about that. Yeah, but this move strikes me as very, very conservative. So let's see what the engine says. I was going to say H4, believe it or not. But I thought Bishop G5 has to be best. The question is, after H6, where do you go? You go to H4. If you go to H4, is G5 good? If you go to G3, yeah, you're attacking C7. If he goes out here, he's lost. So I don't know about H4. H4 you could play. You could castle queenside. But Bishop E2 is really lame. I would think you're playing too fast. Try to figure out what's wrong with your opponent's move and build a big advantage while you got the chance. Because you might not get another chance, It's a 10-0 game, but still. I think this is way too passive. And then that's a terrible move. Another terrible move. He does have threats of Knight B6. White will go here, defending the center. Bishop E3. This was a little robotic, but okay. You still have Bishop G5. It's much more provocative. Bishop F4 attacking C7 would force black to probably play C6 or C5, which are risky. So you played way too robotically here. Bishop E3. Now Knight B6. Now he has two squares. I think that the C5 is oftentimes leading white into very dangerous waters. And you might want to look at Bobby Fischer, 100, whatever it is. My 60 memorable games. There's a famous game of Fischer. Fischer played with black against the queen on C5, sacking his queen against David Byrne. Okay, queen B3. And now bishop D7. Now black has an obvious plan of this. And you have Knight E5. If you don't play Knight E5, black will play Bishop C6 and attack your center. So the question is, what happens if Knight E5? Why you don't play Knight E5? You get his white square bishop. If he goes back, fine. Castle's too routine, and now black should play Bishop C6. Now what do you do? Now it's hard to protect your pawn on E4. This is passive, takes your knight away from the center. This is awkward. Play H6. And so you have to do something weird, like bishop d3 or queen c2. Then you can try to play knight e5 on the next move. But I think your play is too routine. Castles, this is awful. Right? c6, okay. That's awful. Now h3. A good move, stopping knight g4. Rook c8. Our opponent should be playing Slav, not the Grunfeld. And then rook a d1. But again, a slightly robotic move. Would Botvinnik play rook a d1? I don't think so. Botvinnik against himself, if he was playing the Grunfeld, would probably play rook f d1 if he does a rook move. And I think that a4 is a serious consideration. If you look at, I don't know, Uva or Botvinnik or someone who played floor, really good queen pawn players, those guys, those three, Rubinstein, four, whoever, the best queen pawn players you can think of, we're going to develop our rook from original square. This is extremely strong here. Because not only do you have a5, you're going to be attacking b7 when he moves the knight. So it cast down on black's position. The rook also moved away. If he decides to play a5 now, that rook isn't there to protect a5. And you also have this, like immediately. Like almost winning. Black would have to play something horrible like knight a8. So I think this is another case of playing too routinely. Rook a d1. And now we got the Nefedov queen. But I still think that if you want to move a rook, the other rook probably. So that keep the other one for the a-pawn advance. Rook a d1, queen c7 or e7, I don't know. Here. And then now knight e5. Okay. Now I don't know. I don't know now. It's hard to come up with a plan for white. You no longer have a4, a5. Maybe with your queen on c1, you can play bishop h6. I almost want to move your rook back to c1. Because the rooks would probably be better here. What's your plan? You played knight e5. Okay. And that's not a bad move to support f4. If bishop e8, we play f4. And he can't play c5. So it looks good. It's not a good bishop. Maybe black will play like rook f, but if you have f4, f5, you have lines here. This is the Grunfeld. This is your brain on Grunfeld. Grunfeld was my first defense for black. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, rook f d8. Not so bad, actually, with idea of this. The Steinitzian school of defense. Now the question is, you played bishop f4, very artificial, but in this case maybe good, because artificial might just work. He has nowhere to put his queen. Yeah, his queen is entirely screwed now. That queen could have been on e7 maybe. Wow. So rook d8 actually boxed his own queen in. I would say f4 is a better plan, but you're right about this, because he simply cannot get out of it. Black is lost. He's just lost. Yeah, this doesn't help. It just delays the inevitable. And now, it's a tough call. I think you can also play bishop h2. Because ultimately, what is he going to do after bishop h2? Well, he's still going to face the same threat. Knight takes g6. Nothing's going to really change. He's going to have to move here. And then you have a choice of a bunch of different good moves like knight e5. So bishop takes h5. I wonder if this isn't a mistake. I don't know. Oh, here you have, okay, because he has to play e5. Only move e5. And then you win that pawn. And now you're resuming threats. So bishop e6, queen c2, and now knight to c4. I honestly the computer didn't give you a dubious for this, but I wonder about bishop takes h5. You're taking his knight on the side of the board, but why is this not better? Isn't this like a lot better for white? Plus 4. But after this, let's see, bishop takes h5, g takes h5. What are we here? We're only plus 3.5. There's something you missed, though. Okay, so you missed the move here with knight 97 check. He missed 97 check. That's kind of complicated. You take on c8, then you take on b6. So you cannot, you're not losing anything. Like king f8 takes, and you're up the exchange. So both ways were good, but I prefer bishop h2, because I think the knight on h5 is a bad piece. This is much cleaner. There's no complication. And so most importantly, if he takes, you're just winning his queen. There's literally no complications. What's black going to do? He can't do anything. Yeah. So bishop h5. I don't know your time use here, but it looks like black almost got out of this. It looks like he's almost completely out. He's only down a pawn, and he actually has the bishop pair. Wow. So the safest thing to do is what? If you take, he takes on f4. Queen e2. Knight d3. Knight g6 again. Not good. So suddenly we have like serious problems. Like we might not even be winning anymore. I was thinking maybe this, then black takes. We take, probably black takes, and now we're screwed because if takes, he has queen takes, and black is okay. Not even down any material at the end. So we're so close to messing up here. Knight g6 looks awkward. Black has queen moves. He probably has to keep e7 protected. So I guess queen d7. Peter says knight d6. This is a hard move to play. I would think that. Yeah, now you have to play a very awkward move. Knight h4. And this is probably your best line. That's subtle, though. It's very subtle. You have to find this weird path to get your knight back. There's sacrifices that are probably not working. His knight is stranded on c4. What you did instead was sort of freaking out. You just totally freaked out. And so all of a sudden, like, black has all sorts of moves. So apparently this was best. But he takes right away. And that lets you bust up his pawn structure. There's knight f3 check, though. This is a problem, and I guess you realize that. So if you take, he plays knight f3 check. If you take that, he takes on f4. And this is nothing because, he can take with the queen. Unclear, what's happening. The bishop's a very strong piece versus the knight. I mean, you just entirely freaked out with d5. I don't even understand what this does, Tough love, yeah, well, yeah. The other move you had is knight d3, but the problem is the knight doesn't have a clear path. The engine's move is hard to find. I also rejected this because I didn't see where it was going, but you have to find knight h4. That's a really tough line to find. I don't expect anybody to find that. I would have played something... Like I said, something solid, like this. 95. Hold on a second here. This might actually work. Let's check this, right? 95 queen h5. He has what? Rook takes d4? That doesn't work. So this line actually looks pretty good. If you play queen e2, this is your best line, dude. This is way easier to find than their line. You play queen e2, he takes, you have this in-between move. But that's hard to see. You have to take the time to calculate and use all your time. Cafe Chess would have never found this because he wouldn't use his time. Yeah, d5. Well, maybe if he was lucky. d5 freak out. And now this is like, okay, you saw knight f3 check. You're making another concession. Now you lost like most of your advantage. I don't know how black decides to take here. He should have exchanged on d5 before. Takes. And now the question is, are you even better at all? Like, the structure looks good. If you could somehow get in e5, maybe you're better. But easier said than done. Here. Now, check, he can avoid getting shut out, which is exactly what he did. And now that bishop has real potential to come back. And says Seg, thanks for subscribing. Alright guys, we're back in business. We got a subscriber. 33 months for Sensei. That's a year and a half, approximately. No, that's not a year and a half. That's almost 3 years. Seriously. My math was based on the fact that there are 24 months in a year for some reason. I don't know why. I think they're like hours. Chess or poker? I'll tell you, I reopened my online poker world, but I can't bring myself to play. It's like, I don't want to jinx myself. I'm not ready. You know, I haven't played in 10 years. King h1, king h8. Rook f3. No, it's too late for e5. Now his bishop has escaped. The g file is dangerous. This is a very imbalanced position. You can play knight e2 and maybe try to transfer your knight over there. This looks serious. I wouldn't mind that. I mean, if he goes there and he tries to point your bishop, his bishop at your kingside, you have this suddenly. I don't think his bishop has an easy time. What's he gonna do? You know what I think he might have to do is like give you his bishop. Actually, seriously consider it. Maybe he will, right? He'll just take, and if you take this out, he'll take, and you can. No, you win a piece. Sorry. Yeah, he has to move the bishop or defend it. Yeah, maybe c5. Realistically, c5. Okay. White's still better, according to the engine, but I don't think it's easy to evaluate. Knight e2 deserves consideration. You played rook f3. This looks like a decent move. You have ability to come here. It kind of protects your kingside a bit. You can double. It's a little vague, but it looks like a decent move. The other possibility, which you need to consider, I guess would be e5. For a specific reason, this move, very concrete idea of playing knight e4. This actually looks so dangerous that if I was black, I've got to very seriously consider the unthinkable bishop takes c3. Black does not want your knight getting into e4. If the knight gets into e4, it could get to f6, d6, g5. I don't even want to think about it, what it could do to him, you know? The other thing that black could do, though, would be, you know, whatever he does, he has to do something quick before you execute this threat. So that means, like, f5, really ugly move, which has a lot of ramifications, like weakening his pawns more, giving you a protected pass pawn on e5. Or f6, also weakening his king side. Not a move to be played, you know, lightly if I'm black, honestly. You know, the safest thing to do is take. Let's see what the computer says. Yeah, it's agreeing with me. Like, wow, it's looking at allowing knight e4. Oh my god. There is bishop c5, bishop e7. That's an interesting defense. Okay, finally it finds this. Compromise. Or black can just simply take your knight. But e5 was probably a stronger move. Rook f3 doesn't really do anything. It's not a terrible move. This is materialistic. That is a bad move. Which I assume is time pressure. Rook g7. How long has his bishop been hanging? Oh my god. He hung his bishop. He hung his bishop with rook g8. Oh, other than that, it was a good move. Okay. So you didn't see it. Alright, good quality there. You didn't see it. He didn't see it. You didn't see it, but you played a good move, threatening knight e4. And now he played c5. It doesn't matter now, because you have knight e4. And now you're actually threatening rook takes bishop. And if I didn't know better, I would say this was like a 2-minute game. But Itan said it's 10-minute. But it could become a 2-minute game, because it's like 10-0. Right? Yeah, it's 0-0. So he's in there. Yes! Snedsteg opted for chess. G. Christiansen, Chess is Love 42. Slayer was bored. Blad Esu and Hadu Kanen. Our first gift subs in a while. Whew, I was getting nervous there. Why does it say Snedsteg 4 gift subs? That was 5 gift subs. Man, you only got credit for 4 gift subs. It's broken. They're giving you credit on my... It says 3. I guess they take a while going through. That's all. It's just delayed. They have to go through some sort of processor. Thank you, Snedsteg. Awesome. Yeah, so black is in trouble now. You're going to tie him down to the Arabian mate sort of setup there. Why not play knight f6? Nothing to lose. You keep him kind of busy if you play knight f6. Definitely not knight g5. Like, you don't want him to maybe sack the exchange where he has some hope. This wouldn't be so clear. You know, like my game with Miles the other day. Giving back to the community, yes. Yeah, I know g2, but you're going to mate him. And I'm saying you have a mate threat on h7. He can't go anywhere. You're just checkmating him. This is important. He missed his chance to take the knight out. So rook d2, okay, it's very, very routine. Too many routine moves. Now you have to play it anyway. It's not as good now. He trades queens. That was a huge mistake. If you play knight f6 first, he's not getting that queen exchange. Queen and knight is a nasty combo. And you're actually threatening like rook g3 there. He should probably play h4, seriously. If he doesn't play h4, rook g3 is a strong plan. Rook g3, rook g5, rook h5. Rook g3, rook g4, rook h4. He has to play this to stop you. That's funny. This would be perverse, like g4, takes. Anyway. That'd be pretty funny. He has a check, but no real threats. He can't do anything to break this threat against rook g3. Oh, you're threatening queen h7. Wow, that's brilliant, Snedsteg. You're threatening queen h7, mate. Of course. You've been doing puzzles. I've been doing my puzzles, but not as much as you. Yeah. But anyway, like by trading queens, you give him a very important concept. What I talked about the other day on my stream, which is the bishop. This is Dorfman, who wrote a very good book called The Method in Chess. He's talking about tandems of pieces, and the famous one is like, you know, queen and knight versus queen and bishop. That's gone now. But now black has rook and bishop versus rook and knight. And the rook and bishop are actually a really good combo, which a lot of people don't realize. The rook and bishop coordinate better than rook and knight. So now you've given him kind of advantageous combo. Though, like, winning h5 is probably going to be enough for you. He obviously can't afford to lose his rook, you know, so he has to move the rook to somewhere. Let's say rook d8. Now you take his pawn and you're up too many pawns. It's going to be a win. Actually, you're only up 1 pawn. I thought you're up 2 pawns. Well, your structure is very strong, though, and he has no break against it. So I think this is probably a win for white. It's a very unpleasant position. Like, no squares. You know, he's very hurt here. You're probably winning anyway. But anyways, he does that. You take the exchange, and it's too much. Rook and rook against rook and bishop is another combo that isn't very good for your opponent. So this should be pretty easy. Just slowly improve. This is good. The king is good. King e4. And at this point, you might exchange on d4. Sometimes it's best to make life simpler for yourself. I would strongly recommend it here in a blitz game. Probably f5 check first, drive his king back, and then sack the rook on d4. You always go to king and pawn in games when it's low time. It's easiest to play very forcing. So I would definitely sack that back. Because otherwise it's going to take you a while. See, even the computer said rook takes d4 was best. We're actually getting to the brute force. Stockfish 18 claiming rook takes d4 is the best move. It's probably calculating like 19 moves deep to queening a pawn at this point. This is actually white's best move. So we're being too materialistic here. You need to clarify to win more quickly. You actually came back. Okay, b4 is a good lever. He hangs a piece. All right, enough said. So okay, super donations. Thanks, Sensei. 5 gift subs and a sub. You're the man. Any club games for you? Sensei, no games to donate to the stream. That's no problem if you want. Thanks for resubscribing. So we got a serious game, not mine. Mine if we're desperate, but Mamadjarov versus Nils Grandelius. I have no idea when this is from. This is probably an old game. No, it's not old. Very good. Okay, so it's from Goa and the World Cup. Mamadjarov with white and Grandelius Nils. Oh, it's your country. Wow. Just for you, Snetstek. So the Swede playing black. Grandelius Suniga. So, okay, Mamadjarov, very dangerous. C4. Oh, man. Speaking of Mamadjarov... Oh, wow, really? Speaking of Mamadjarov, he's the one who got mated at the World Cup, right? No, that was the Blitz and Rapid, sorry. Not World Cup. Yeah, Mamadjarov got mated in the endgame in the FIDE Blitz Championship or whatever, Blitz and Rapid, by somebody. I forget who it was. That was embarrassing. Hans mated him. Oh. That's it, I quit. Alright, knight c3, e5. We're black and in English. I'd actually be pretty happy if Mamadjarov played the English against me. He knows so much aggressive stuff. I feel like, you know, you're kind of lucky to get off with the English. 1993. I was just starting to get into a lot of trouble in 1993. So G3, Shakhyar Mamadjarov. We got to consider ourselves lucky. I mean, I don't know why he chose to play the English, but whatever. He plays everything, right? Difficult to prepare for him. And now it's a reverse Rossalimo. Oh, oddly, I had this position. This is your game, move 11. I had this position on the board the other day against Jasper, some new player in our Tuesday tournaments, and they played a very lame move coming up. White plays e4. It's a reverse Rossalimo, and I played c6 here. And interestingly, c6 has a bad score. Very bad. I'm playing like I'm white in a Roslimo, but I'm a tempo down. So apparently c6 is bad. Why is it so bad? Like, look at the statistics. It's only been played in 15 games. Like, I'm hanging a fucking pawn or something. I can't believe it's that bad. So most players go for the doubled pawns. There's a lot of moves black can play here. Rook e8, knight c6, bishop takes knight, d6. That's about it. Rook e8, knight c6, d6, c6, bishop takes c3. And a couple a6 and a partridge in a pear tree. So we got Bobby Fischer gambits like b5. Wow, that's been played going back to 1977. You guys remember the 1992? Before Sensei was born. That's amazing. Sensei and Nils Grandelius were born after Bobby Fischer Spassky rematch in 1992. Fischer played the b4 pawn sack idea in the reverse of this. a5, knight e65. Anything's possible, yeah. It looks a little slow, but who cares? Yeah, sure. a5's been played in a handful of games. But I think playing against this, I don't know what to call it, but like Bofinic structure, you see how people are playing like a6? I played c6 and b5, Fischer style. These moves are played where we're going to do like an active break against the guy's Bofinic Marazzi structure. If you play a5, knight a6, you're doing a kind of more passive but also equally interesting blockade type of strategy. You're blockading the dark squares rather than trying to attack his Marazzi Bofinic pawn structure. You're simply going to, like, hug it on the dark squares. It's like boxing versus wrestling. How bad is c6 though? Do you guys think that it's like something concrete? I mean, how can c6 be so bad? Just knight e2. But I was going to sack a pawn. I mean, that's a normal idea with reverse colors. The temporary pawn sack. Korchnoi Taimanov. Wow. Black lost all 4 games here. That's a good score. Korchnoi Taimanov. Well, at least I'm in good company. Now, I was alive when that game was played. Unbelievable. Right? Not very, very long alive. 1973, June. I was like 6 months old when this game was played. Korchnoi Taimanov. So which way do you take? C takes D. C takes D. E takes D. And now Taimanov played bishop f5, but that's not the only plan. So the plan normally is to surround it with like knight a6. But the whole problem here is that we're trying to do something you normally do with white that's a little bit too aggressive, trying to do it with black. Okay. But anyway, my opponent yesterday, or Tuesday, no, it was yesterday, sorry. Jasper played a real massive lemon now. He did d3. White goes from better to worse. Now you let me play d5, I have a tremendous position. So, anyways. So, in the game, Mamedyarov doesn't take, he doesn't play rook e8. He doesn't play knight c6, of course. He plays this. So the question that arises now is like, okay, why is our bishop on b4? If we're not going to take, why did we put our bishop on b4? Because now it looks like our bishop would have been better off. If we're not going to take, it would be better off on c5. So what is our idea here? So we're going to get an answer to this question now. Looks like Mamedyarov is up to his usual tricks with a very surprising move. Very surprising and concrete move. Notice that a6 has a good score. And with that move, we can come back and say, yeah, we're playing the Bodler or whatever. Still not very impressive. But check this out. Bishop g4. So, this was played by Amon. This was played in a game against Hort in 1987. Hort passed away, right? Finally. In another game in 1991, Gunther Beikert, German. But, so this is not a new move. And the nice thing about Mamejaro's setup is that it's like really forcing. So white's like, oh fuck, what is this? I've never seen this before. I'm sorry, I'm saying it's Mamajaro, but it's Grandelius playing black. I'm my bad. I like Mamajaro's style, so I don't expect him to play the creative stuff. Now this is Grandelius playing black, not Mamajaro. And I sometimes get confused. But anyway. So Grandelius came up with this weird line. It's very interesting, because it's counterintuitive. Taking advantage of redundant knights. Black could get like 2 knights versus 2 bishops in a very closed position. So Mamajarov clearly confused. He's probably never faced this. It's very rare. And it seems to have a good score. So h3 would be my guess for white here. What does black do on h3? Are we just cashing in both bishops and playing a closed structure with knights versus bishops? Let's take a look. This happened in some games. And black played all different moves. Mostly bishop takes e2. And then knight e2. And because if you take with the queen, what's the problem? Like knight c6? It looks like it's playable. I'm honestly really surprised here that every single player took with a knight. Because I don't think it's that obvious. Look at that. Stockfish 18 says the evaluation is 0.0 on either recapture. Even king takes is only like 0.02. And yet every single player, 8 out of 8, all took with a knight. Okay, they wanted to avoid bishop takes knight and getting like, they wanted to avoid getting, 2 knights versus 2 bishops. That's if white plays h3. Mama didn't play h3. The other move that makes some sense is like castles. And then what do we do? Do you take? This is what happened in the Hort game from 1987. Hort took back with the b pawn. White has kingside attacking chances in this kind of position. Heffer lump versus Hoffenhauser. So Mama plays d3. Kind of a surprising move. But this was also played by Jiang, who beat Ding Liren in the same line. Seems weird to play the English against Ding Liren, because he plays the English all the time himself. So d3, that doesn't really do a lot. Bishop takes. And now, knight takes is no longer an option. So basically we get to see what would happen in a queen takes type scenario. I think that white is fine, I had a game like this against that... Who did I have a game against? Some Serbian guy. Some Serbian, strong Serbian FM a couple years ago. Similar thing happened. I was white. He played like this. He gave up his light square bishop. He stuck his knight on d4, but white is still fine. There's no way that white is really worse here. Castles, knight d4, queen d1. It's still, equal. This is almost exactly what happened in my game with the Serbian guy. And I ended up, of course, losing an equal, position, which I always do. Yeah. And the same thing happens here to Mamedyarov. He loses an optically equalish position. Okay, c6. And now, I would imagine a very safe player is probably going to play knight e2. But Mamedyarov is definitely not what we would qualify as a very safe player. He plays f4. Who can blame him? Another interesting move for white is bishop g5, which reminds me of those crazy gambits. Bishop g5, h6, bishop h4, g5, f4. That's probably not sound. Okay. You could play bishop g5, just provoke black, and then go back. What do you guys think about that? How do you like those apples? How do you like them cliches? Yeah, probably black wouldn't play h6. He would play knight e6 instead. But that's also, you know, potentially like getting in line of this f pawn. I wonder how good bishop g5 might be. Lenjin is not considering it. He likes the stupid move a3. King h1 is fine. What's up with bishop g5? I don't know. It looks provocative. I don't see a problem with it. I mean, are we effectively like wasting time with bishop g5? You would take it with the king? At least give me some gift subs if you do that. Just trying to troll me. I don't know. I think bishop g5 is provocative. Anyway, f4. And so now, okay. Here Grandelius played a5. Like I was talking about, when you have this type of structure, right? There are two options. You can try to break the white square pawn chain, or you can play for a dark square blockade. You can nibble away with something like a6, b5. Nibbling. Yeah, that's what I said, Coffee House Chess. That's the other line. Bishop g5, knight e6. In any case, he goes back. But if we play for f4, f5, the knight at e6 is also a target. So I think either way, h6 weakens black's kingside, and the knight on e6 is going to get hit by f4, f5 later on. So actually, neither move looks that constructive for black. What's up, Sack Draw? Long time no see. Wow. Grandelius, I thought, played a5. He played b5, so he nibbles at the pawn structure. So this is interesting. Why b5? Doesn't white have pawn takes pawn? Do you think Grandelius would play knight takes b5? What is black's intention on pawn takes pawn? Just normally I would never play this move. But if black doesn't have a pawn controlling d5, I don't really mind. And so this doesn't seem like a problem for white. I like white a little better in this type of position. I don't know if black's right move is b5. You know, I would think like a6 and b5 and take with the a pawn, and it might be too slow. His concern is that he's too slow. I think that black's concern is that white's attack on the king side, you know, classic pawn storm. I've been playing this since the 80s. White can get a very strong attack on the king side. He's afraid maybe his counterplay is too slow. If he plays like a6, is it too slow, or is it just good? And can we play an acerbate, you know, kind of rook maneuver where we'll defend laterally with rook a7? Korchnoi. Of course, Korchnoi would play this too with white. Well, okay, b5. King h1 is fine. And then this exchange doesn't really help Grandelius. So he plays rook b8. Nothing, you know, this is like conventional. There's also rook lateral. Exchanging on c4 doesn't hurt necessarily. I keep thinking, like, what's going to happen if white takes on b5? Is he seriously considering taking with a knight, maybe? Just a question. I don't have the answers, you know. Do you think black would seriously consider taking with a knight here? By the way, like, what is black doing if you take on e5? Okay, if you take on e5. Okay, anytime you take on e5, we're taking back with the pawn, and we're bringing our bishop back to e7 to break the pin. So rook b8, okay. And now a3. I don't like a3. I don't see what the point is. White should be playing on the king side. Or maybe take on b5. How does a3 help white? You know, it looks like it weakens b3. So this may be where Manjaro starts to go wrong. Everything seems fine. You could even play g4. Okay, this is controversial because of like pawn takes pawn and maybe the dark squares. So g4 is a risky move, but let's just say a lot of things are possible. I don't like weakening the b3 square. Black just put a rook on the b file. You can take. You can play pawn takes pawn, giving that bishop back doesn't seem good. What else can white play? Sort of routine like knight retreat. It's okay, nothing special. Yeah, it's not easy to find a really constructive move. I mean, f5, if you close the king side, go for the pawn storm. Then black, the minute that you close the pressure off of e5, you shut the valve off, then black starts looking for d5. I'm not sure that black can do it. You know, black isn't so easy, you know, to play this. I kind of like f5. You like a3 with the idea of fe and okay. But you're going to have a problem. Okay, I see. So you're saying like there's no time. No, but the knight's going to go to e6, so you're going to go, well, yeah, it's not going to be so easy, dude. His knight is going to go to e6, and then you can't go bishop g5. That's the problem. Let's see what happened. So now there's no bishop g5. It's basically a 4 knights structure. 2 knights versus 2 bishops, but we don't have bishop g5 now. So he changes on b5. I mean, he could have done this before. I don't think this drastically changes the position. cb5, cb5. And now white decides to play d4. But I think this is Manjaro getting... It feels like Manjaro is getting overconfident now. A little. Maybe not so easy to play this position from both sides. But I'm not sure what white should do. Bishop e3. So what's the problem with d4? Well, it's the most aggressive move. It's a very aggressive move. d4, what's black going to do? If black... Okay, what does black have? Take d5. My first thought was take d5. That may be too dangerous for black. Maybe that's what Manjaro wants. Okay, so it looks like scary, right? If we take... He takes back, we play d5, we're getting smothered with these pawns. So what is white threatening? So if we don't panic... So Grandelius continues to not panic. Here. He just doesn't panic. The thing is, like, you have to be prepared for this knight to have to move. If f5, where is it going? And that's why he played the following move, among other reasons. The knight at c7 looks really bad. And the problem was if he played f5 right away, then Gradilius has knight c5, and possibly pressure on e4, and possibly knight coming back to d7. So d4, queen c7 is a reasonable idea. You know, by the way, but it's white's turn. Yeah, after d4, okay, you can start playing moves like queen c7. But the problem is, what is the problem? f5. I think this is the problem. So he has to create a flight score for his knight, where his knight can have a good place to rebound, which is f8 and d7, or later maybe h7. So Mamedyar's maybe not overconfident yet. Tricky position. Again, rook a2. The computer would probably say this is like equal. Let's see. White is better by 0.4. It's programmed to like the bishops, I guess. Still. White is a little more space. But I don't think a human is going to outscore another human like that much here. I think it's closer to 0-0 in a human versus human game. Only a computer could probably, like, realistically score enough to prove that white is better by, like, almost half a pawn here. Not easy for a human. Queen d3, okay, looks like a good move. a6, and then bishop e3. This pawn makes me a little nervous. Like, we have possible... Actually, that file. Mamedyarov has to be careful of sneaky levers like d5 in some moment. So now black's getting this Nimzo thing going on. Rook c8. And then a4. Okay. And there's the sneaky lever. How does that work? How does it work? Millennia. How does that work? Wow. I don't get it. I'm not getting it. F takes e5. F takes e5. Okay, so we're just taking twice, taking on c3. Nothing fancy here. So if you take with a d, this move has to be seriously considered. If I take this way, I win a piece. So black has to take with a knight. And then you gotta ask yourself, what's Mamedyarov smoking? Why didn't he go into this? It doesn't look that bad. You could take here. Or you could trade, you could even trade queens, but I think he should probably take. Computer, oh, there's rook c4. Wow. It's still okay, but white's a little bit worse. Damn. So you're serious? Knight takes e4. White might have another move like this, for example. Just try holding. I don't know if it works. In any case, I think Mamedyarov has everything under control even now. F takes e5. D takes e4. Ah. So now there's a trap. If bishop takes e4... Wait. No trap. No trap. Bishop takes e4. Takes, and then rook takes. I don't know what's going on. And if this... What the hell is going on here? We sack. Sack and draw. Black probably has good chances to draw. Oh, queen f3. Never mind. So I don't know. It's unclear why Mamedyarov doesn't take here. His move's even stronger. Wow. He goes on to lose this game. He's practically winning. He's practically winning. Queen c2. Knight d5, Mr. Nimzo. And now queen takes e4. So Mamjarov's not a computer. Queen takes e4, knight takes c3, queen f3, attacking f7, and now knight takes d4. Oh my god. And white loses the game after queen takes f7 check. White loses the game after queen takes f7 check. That's hard to believe. Black has a passer. Yeah, there's no way that black's losing, dude. I mean, white is losing. So here, what is black threatening exactly? Knight c2? Yeah, I mean, white is absolutely better. Bishop takes d4. Queen takes d4. Pawn takes pawn. We're threatening rook a7. Wow. Dude. He played rook a d1. This is too fancy. He gets fancy. Rook d1. Wow. Yeah, this is a totally undeserved victory for Grandelius. White played rook d1 now. Just absolutely no reason to do that. Just take his knight. I mean, take the frickin' knight. Black has no threats. White has a passer on e5. You got your rook on the a file. Threatening to penetrate on the 7th. Fancy move syndrome strikes. Yeah. Just a moment of overconfidence. Knight takes d1, rook takes d1. You just lost the exchange. Rook f8. And now queen h5. I have a bad feeling here. Something about the back rank. Well, he just missed this rook c4. So he's suddenly down the exchange. A b5, and then e6. Queen f6, he's just down the exchange. Really, really stupid. e7. Queen e7, bishop takes d4. And what is this? Like a draw? Hard to believe that black is winning, but maybe. Like a freak position. You can't stop the pawn. It's a draw. It's still a draw. Yeah, a draw, but black has to play. I mean, white has to play perfectly. That's a computer draw. The World Cup or whatever. I don't know what the circumstances of this game were, but it could be one of the situations where, you know, somebody had to win. I sort of vaguely recall something like this in the games. Oh, this is horrible. So much for the bishop pair. Oh no. Oh no. Hanging on to his pawn, the nugget that wouldn't die. It looks like even now white is still okay. Yeah, he was still a draw. He got flagged. Oh no. Oh no. There's no checks. Yeah, that was weird. So anyway, kind of undeserved victory for the Swede. But the opening was interesting. I'm glad that Move 11, sent that in. This is a cool idea to play this bishop g4. Which makes me also wonder about white's move there. Yeah. D6 is interesting. D6, D3. This is a funny move. D3 can be played. Did they just transpose though after bishop G4? There's F3. Larson would probably play that. And this isn't a bad line. I wonder if some kind of interpretation of this can be used on the white side of the Rosslimo. If we could turn it around, you know, like we're playing white, E4, C5, knight F3, knight C6, bishop B5, G6, castles, bishop G7, and now black has to play, you know, we play something quiet, maybe like D3. If black plays E5, then we do bishop G5. The novelty. The computer kind of likes it. It kind of likes it when you force it to do that. Like consensual, non-consensual. Bishop G5. Maybe we came up with a new idea for white in the Rosslimo. Knight on G to E7. Or F6. What should black play? This is the exact idea with reverse colors. The old Queen B6 is really bad. Let's see. Queen B6. Then what? Okay, we don't have Knight D2. You have to play Knight C3, threatening Knight D5. This is Knight on G to E7. Now Knight D2, Knight C4. Ooh. Here. If here. That's not good. Yeah, I think we invented something good with white. Alright guys, is that the last game? That's our last game for today. Yes. I had a game I played, which I can share before we go, where I was playing a training game online, and I played the hyper accelerated. This was a 30 plus 10. My opponent played this line that Mr. Slow has played against me before, D5. This is like considered to be. There's Mamedyarov again, our hero. This is considered to be kind of primitive and like old-fashioned way of playing for white. But I've had some struggles against it. I've even considered playing like C6 here. But I feel like if you don't react quickly enough, white will play E4. So this is best. So we're following Bakrova Mamedyarov. A3, stopping bishop B4. This transposes to an English defense. But I put my knight on F6. You know what, I guess it's also weird kind of Petrosian, Queen's Indian. And now I'm out of book. Kind of out of book. I play bishop D6. This turns out to be the main move. I have ideas of bishop E5. My opponent was Snake Benoni. So it's Karpov Miles, 1977. I don't know if that was a Queen's Indian or an English defense. Karpov and Miles had multiple games. Another game where Miles did something weird like Queen H4 in an English defense. Knight F3 is best. And I've never played this position before. And I used a lot of time. So I'm down 7 minutes. But the computer seems to like, or the database seems to like castles better. I played pawn takes pawn. My opponent plays c takes d. I castled. He plays g3. It's like Snake Benoni. But this all went tragically wrong for black. My opponent is 2100 FIDE. He's not a bad player. But he was playing very quickly. I didn't know what to play here. So what do you guys think? I was afraid to play knight a6 because of b4. But it turns out that b4 isn't good. And if I had realized that, maybe I would have tried this. So b4 is really not good. b4 c5 engine. Black is better. So I can play knight a6, knight c5. I can play... I thought I could play c6. I mean, I think I looked at this long ago. Well, I can play like a pawn sack. Like a Palugievsky style sort of thing. I mean, you even wonder if bishop h3 wouldn't be theoretically, like, plausible. Okay, bishop g2. So I played this instead. White plays bishop g2. And now I played a5. But I think there's an Adiban game here. The computer prefers knight a6. White is better. Castles, knight a6. And now, I thought that black is fine. Again, another position where white has a space advantage, and only really like a computer can exploit it, I feel like. The number one move there, b3. But I've used 10 minutes and my opponent has only used a minute and a half at this point, which is unbelievable. Because, like, who knows this line? You know, it's like kind of completely random. You know, I don't play this that often. Now he plays knight d4, knight c5, and now a new move. This is Mohammed versus Adiban 2016. Ori Bronstein versus Chigayev 2023. Another guy against Sundar Shyam. Another game. 4 games. 2 games of knight b5. Which I wasn't afraid of, you know, and my bishop's defended. You don't have any of this, you know. This was played in a game. Whatever. These 2 Indian guys, one of them plays here all the time. Shahil Day. Bishop takes d6. Knight takes d6. Pawn takes d6. And big deal. You know, I'm not afraid. But my opponent with this, rook e1, this is a new move. But an interesting thing happens now. What do? I have to play bishop e5. And I'm threatening bishop takes d4 and knight b3. So, what is white supposed to play? I didn't know what he would play. You know, I was thinking, okay, he might play like e3 and take back with the pawn. And then my knight, you know, I'll take and then go to b3 and I'm better. So I'm like, what is he going to play? He plays rook b1. This is like best move. And at this point, I'm afraid that white is going to continue to gain space. But I was aware that I could play a4. And I think I would normally do that. But I felt very cramped. So what about this? Like, what if I do this? He plays this. I take, he takes, I play knight b3. Is this okay for me? Because it looks like white has a large space advantage. It's not okay for me. So I didn't know what to do. I thought I should trade pieces. So I played bishop takes d4, queen d4, knight b3. And now he really surprised me, right? Because this position, what would you do with white? If you're white here. I mean, your queen is on a really strong position. On the 4th rank. It looks like white has a space advantage. I'm looking at queen c4, queen a4, queen f4. Queen f4 I decided was probably white's best move. Staying active. Even queen h4, you know, anything's possible. But he shocks me. He goes queen d1. I'm like, why would you retreat your queen back to d1? And then the weirdest thing about this position is like queen d1 is the engine's #1 move. I was very surprised by this. Queen d1 is white's #1 move. I mean, I understand that you're attacking the knight, but why? Why do you need to go to d1 here? It's very strange. The computer actually, yeah. At first it was like taking with the queen on c1. I can't believe white is that much better here. It's like +1 for white. White has a little space advantage, but I'm trading off a second set of pieces now, you know? I can't believe he's that much better here. I can destroy his pawn immediately with c6. So I thought I was close to equal, and the computer says it's like +1. It's really, seems kind of exaggerated. But queen d1, and now I could come back, but his bishop's too valuable. Takes, rook takes, and now I played the best move, according to Stockfish. Because if I play c6, he could just sit there. He might even have d6. So c5 like a Benoni. And here I am. The only thing I'm really worried about is white rolling me with the big pawn. I was very concerned that white can try to go for it. You know, like e4, d6, f4. And try to just put all of his energy into playing for e5. This was the only thing I was afraid of. And I was calculating stuff, crazy stuff here, like sacking a pawn. This is probably not sound, but I was looking at everything, like here, bishop a6, e5, stuff like this. I'm desperate that white's going to play e5. So f4 is his best move there. e4 is his best move here. And white is plus 1.5 after e4. But he lets me off the hook. I'm like, oh, so relieved. And this is an important lesson. When you play a game and you lose your sense of danger, that's the place where you lose games. It may not be an apparently dangerous situation, you know. This is the moment when I lost the game, was when the tension turned off and I was like, I'm completely okay now. Thank God he took on c6. This is really like the moral of the story. Thank God my opponent took on c6 and gave away most of his advantage, because the other way was way more dangerous. So I take with the bishop. I have a slightly worse structure. If he takes here, and if he tries to play knight a4, I just play b5. And then his knight can sit there all day. You know, whatever. I don't care. So he plays e4, and now he's threatening e5. And I looked at this, and I looked at this, and I looked at like queen b7 to mind the diagonal. But I thought, well, I'll probably have to play d6 anyway at some point. So I played d6, but this is unprotected, right? Very dangerous situation, leaving your bishop unprotected. So already I was scared of like e5, but I calculated this and this, and I didn't think it was that dangerous, whatever, so I ignored it for now. And I saw how strong this was, and he played this, tying me down to b6. Queen's very good, well placed on d4. And now I lost the game in 2 moves. What should black play now? So how do I keep d6 protected? Acerbate? Do we do an acerbate maneuver? Rook a7? Or am I going to lose a piece now? Well, I don't have to lose a piece, but there's a huge problem with his queen being on d4. So I'm in trouble, but I can probably hold. If I play queen b8, e5, let's see, d5, yeah, because I'm on his queen. So I have to get my queen out of there with queen b8, and then I'm probably okay. He's still better. I mean, how do I protect this? This is what happens. So black to play. What to play? Rook e6, bishop h3. This is the problem. If you play this, you get bishop h3, and then what do? You're losing your pawn anyway. So I underestimate how dangerous this was. I played rook d8, and he just wins immediately with e5. And now after bishop takes g2, pawn takes f6. And this is a killer. There's this, and this. Knight coming to d5, and I'm just lost. There's nothing I can do. Just like that. My best move was bishop c6. He goes queen g4. I play g6. He plays queen g5, threatening this. And then there's ideas like this. So you play king h8. My favorite variation is this here, and then rook d4. With the idea of queen takes h7 and rook h4 mate. So you have to play g5. And then I was scared of stuff like this. But maybe I could even survive. Unbelievably. Acerbate, look. Your favorite move, rook a7. But you're getting mated in a lot of variations. So like in the game, he takes f6, I played this. Here, 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 king h8, queen h6, and now I'm worried about rook d4 and that, but I missed that he's simply killing me immediately with rook e7. It's so stupid, you know, and now just rook takes f7 and mate on h7. So that was a really good game by my opponent. I was shocked. You know, okay, I made a huge blunder, but he played really, really well. But, you know, the move for me that was really difficult is finding queen d1, because it seems very counterintuitive. It's ironic that his queen came back to d4 after it had already been there before. And here is like, I'm in so much danger. I'm in so much danger now. Instead of d6, I should have played queen b8 right away. Queen d4, supporting e5. Queen b7, pinning him before he can play e5. If he tries to play e5, now I have time for bishop takes g2, and if pawn takes f6, I'm a tempo ahead, so I can play bishop h1. And that's a big difference. Now, we have beautiful threats, and black is better. So one mistake, one big mistake, queen b8 has to be played first. Now, queen d4, queen b7, and is white really that much better? I think that I'm completely fine. I'm threatening b5, b4. He can play b4 himself. But I can play rook e7, rook e8. So his tiny structural advantage, maybe rook e3. White's only a little bit better. Anyway, I thought I'd share that, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for sharing your games. I shared mine. You can see how brutally I can lose when I'm not playing my best. I did get revenge. If anybody's interested in lessons, contact me at videochesstrainer@gmail.com. And don't forget, tomorrow we'll be back with Blitz. I've got a follow 14 minutes ago from Brr, okay, 3N. Thanks. Oh, there's Mr. Coffee. What's up, man? Good to see you. Exclam learn. Good evening. Good evening. How are you? William. I lose by time again. And Mr. Coffee, I'll see you on Sunday. No. I won't see you on Sunday. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. And Friday is Blitz challenges. We'll see Mr. Coffee tomorrow. A week of dumpster fires. Oof. Okay. TGIF. Friday Blitz challenges, Sunday Simul. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Thanks, Snedsteak, for the subscribes. And don't forget to donate, guys. We're trying to get over 100 for the Summer Attorney Fund. Mr. Coffee, I'm not going to the World Senior Team Championship. That's been canceled because of my teammates are losers. So Instead of Senior Team Championship Fund, it's now the Summer Tournament Fund. Looking for something to do. Are you doing the Panda tournaments on Tuesday or Wednesday? It depends. Usually Tuesday. Sac draw. But, like, occasionally I have to move it to Wednesdays. I have to move it once in a while. It's not on one day. It's usually on Tuesdays, though. So anyway, this week happened to be on Wednesday, but it's usually on Tuesdays. Most Tuesdays. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. See you Friday, tomorrow, and again on Sunday. Don't forget to donate. We're going for $100+ in the summer